Alright everyone, today is the day. I'm super excited to debut my own original region. As you probably noticed, I've also updated my avatar. New region, new me. I've been working on this for a while, and after doing some challenges, I think I'm ready to share my region with you guys. I've learned a lot about making videos with each new video, and I'm sure this will be the best yet. I'm going to be switching things up a lot for this one, but I'm hoping this will be the general norm for all my future videos about the new region. To start today's video off, I've put together something special, a sort of Pokemon-style introduction. So without further ado, here it is. If you haven't guessed by now, the Usana region is based on Mid-America. There will also be aspects of Florida and California. I wanted my first attempt at a Pokemon region to be something I'm familiar with, and since I grew up in the Midwest, it seemed like the place to start. I've also traveled a lot across the country, including Los Angeles, California, and parts of Florida, so I figured I would include them in my region design. I unfortunately haven't gotten the map finished yet, so I'll be releasing that in a future video. For the starters of Usana, I focused on a central theme of TV misconceptions. Each starter will evolve into a TV version of their respective inspirations. Since Hollywood plays a big role in not only American entertainment, but also the world's, I thought this was the perfect idea for the starters. So let's meet the Usana Grass Starter. This is Ladpole, the territorial Pokemon. The name Ladpole is a combination of lad, which is another word for child, pole like the weapon, and tadpole, which is a baby frog. When I was considering what animal I wanted to do for the grass starter, I originally thought to do a boar, but after doing more research and refining my theme, I decided the tree frog was the way to go. Tree frogs are an invasive species in North America, and since starters are often not native to the region they're in, I figured that was a good reason to choose the tree frog. They also, live in trees, so if any frog would be grass type, it had to be the tree frog. When I was designing Ladpole, I knew the typical big forehead that starters have wouldn't work here. I did make the head itself a little oversized to try and compensate, and tried my best to keep it looking like a starter and not just a frog. It's perched on top of a paintbrush because Ladpole, like Grafii, paint to mark their territory. Ladpoles spend hours practicing their brush strokes and are always expanding their territory to look for new canvases. Everything is a canvas to Ladpole, as they have even been known to mark travelers' bags and equipment. Every Ladpole has its own unique style of painting they do, and when two meet in the same territory, a battle of the brushes is soon to commence. A froglet is a tadpole that has grown legs but still has its tail, so for Ladpole's tail, I made it leaf-like. I originally had red eyes because I wanted it to resemble a red-eyed tree frog, but in the end I went with white so it wouldn't look so busy. The blue on its cheeks and paintbrush are a hint at the secondary typing it picks up when it evolves. Same with the red and the shiny. I also made it this deep blue because some tree frogs have a deep gray blue color. Speaking of which, let's see the next evolution. This is Hop on Guard. The name Hop on Guard is a combination of hop because frogs hop, on guard, which is a fighting term, for are at the ready, and avant-garde, which is a way to describe unconventional paintings and techniques. Hop-on-Guard have picked up the fighting type after all that practicing brushstrokes and defending its territory. Hop-on-Guard have become quite skilled fighters. So the theme for my grass starter is a martial artist. Combining the concept of those who practice martial arts and artists, which are two types of people who dedicate their lives to perfecting their craft, was the perfect inspiration for the Usana region. I ended up taking inspiration from the famous Kung Fu star Gordon Liu, who became famous for his leading role in the 8-diagram pole fighter. He's famous for, you guessed it, pole fighting. Gladpole's paintbrush has evolved with it into a full-on pole, from which Hop-on-Guard can perch on to look for any who might challenge them. As a fighting type, they wield their pole with accuracy and perfect technique. The top of its head is a different color, so it looks like the head wraps that you see in martial arts movies. I also gave it 2 leaves on the back of the head to resemble where it's tied. Since Hop-on-Guard is a fighting type, I gave it wraps on the arm and leg. For the shiny, I went with red aspects again because red is another common secondary color for fighting types. Now that we've talked about the inspiration for the grass starter line, I'd like to present to you Crokimbo, the martial artist Pokemon. The name Crokimbo is a combination of croak and akimbo. Akimbo means to dual wield a weapon, so the paintbrush pole has split into 2 smaller brushes. Since all of the starters are based on TV representations and Crokimbo is a martial artist, of course I had to take inspiration from one of, if not the most famous martial artist, Bruce Lee. And obviously his yellow jumpsuit look is the most iconic, so I gave Crokimbo a pattern that resembles it. I gave the top of the head a pattern that resembles Bruce Lee's hair and a pose that's about to strike. Bruce Lee has been known to dual-wield things like nunchucks, so he was the perfect inspiration for Crokimbo all around. Crokimbo have refined their style to absolute precision. No longer relying on the reach and power of the pole, Crokimbo choose fast, precise strikes to get the job done. Crokimbo make a formidable foe and can attack before you even are aware you have wandered into its territory. For the shiny, I went with a red jumpsuit to finish off the red theme. I'm pretty happy with the final product, and I think Crokimbo is a great grass starter. It fits perfectly into my theme, too. So that's the grass starter for the Usana region. Now let's move on to the fire starter. Introducing Tyker, the fired-up Pokemon. The name Tyker is a combination of tyke, another word for child, and biker. He's a tough little biker lizard. For the fire starter of the Usana region, I knew straight away that I wanted to take inspiration from the horned toad that used to be everywhere when I was a kid, but due to habitat loss, they have become scarce to find. The horned toad has this super weird adaptation that allows it to shoot blood from its eyes when threatened. Blood might be a bit much for Pokemon, so I thought this is a perfect way to incorporate the fire aspect. So Tyker's tears are flammable and get ignited by the heat of its anger. I gave it a pattern that resembles a cute little leather jacket and a fierce expression. Since the horned toad is covered in little spikes, I thought I could use that to make the jacket look torn. Anyone who has seen a horned toad knows that they really do have an intimidating glare. Tyker have scorch marks on the side of their face from its fiery tears. Tyker just want people to leave them alone, and when they get frustrated or upset, they cry. When I was designing the shiny, I had to go golden yellow. I turned the jacket brown because of Old West cowboys, another group of people who are often misrepresented on the big screen. Now let's see what Tyker evolves into. This is Reptire. Reptire is a combination of reptile, tire, and ire, which is another word for disliking something. Reptire kind of hate everything and will stomp around when they're in a mood. It's in its angsty teenager phase, and Reptire isn't afraid to let everyone know it. Bikers are often portrayed in television shows and movies as hardened criminals who perform seedy acts under the cover of night. They're seen as destructive and violent, so Reptire has become Fire Dark type. Truthfully, I've known many bikers growing up, and my parents were even bikers for a time. Most bikers are just people who share a love of motorcycles and the freedom of an open road. There's even a group called BACA in some states that have done amazing work helping children. So bikers truly are a diverse and interesting group of people and not just the violent, destructive version we see on TV. When I was designing Reptire, I wanted to bring the angst to 100, so I gave him this sort of stomping, angry pose. The flames of his tears are even bigger because, well, they're angrier than ever. Even the smallest thing can send Reptire into a rampage. The colors are just a slightly darker version of Tyker because he's a darker personality. I kept the same principle for the shiny. Now let's see what the final evolution will be. This is Reptyrant, the blazing Pokemon. The name Reptyrant is a combination of reptile, tire, and tyrant. Because of its aggressive behavior in the last 2 evolutions, Reptyrant are thought to be tyrannical in nature when, all actuality, it has learned how to manage its temper and use it to protect those it cares for. The TV personality I took inspiration from was Ron Perlman in Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is a show about bikers, and Ron Perlman is a favorite actor of mine, so of course that's what I went for. In the show, he wears a similar leather jacket that most bikers prefer and a t-shirt, so Tyrant has a pattern that resembles that. The scorch marks of his cheeks now look like tire tracks after years of re-scorching. I gave him a slightly less imposing stance because he's not angry all the time anymore, but he has a fierce expression that says, "Just try me." I extended the spikes into full-on horns, and as a nod to another famous Ron Perlman role, I put the fire between them. If you know, you know. For the shiny, I gave it a blue jean jacket because Ron Perlman's character in Sons of Anarchy also wears a jean jacket. And that's the fire starter line for Usana. This turned out even better than I could have hoped for, and I hope you guys agree it's a tough and cool fire starter. Last but certainly not least, I saved for my personal favorite, so let's meet the Usana water starter. This is Totter the enthusiastic Pokemon. Totter is a combination of tot, otter, and water. Tot is yet another word for child, and I'm sure you've noticed by now that all three starters follow that theme. When I was choosing the inspiration for the water starter, I really wanted to do an otter. Even though Oshawott already exists, if I'm being honest, Samurott has never been my favorite when it comes to water starters. I just don't like that it's a sea lion or seal instead of an otter. So I wanted to see if I could make an otter starter that stays an otter the whole way through. Try and say that 3 times fast. Trust me when I say that these will be very different Pokemon from the Oshawott line. Otter have a prized pearl that they carry with them everywhere they go. This is because otters often have a favorite stone, so the pearl was a perfect substitution for that. When it came to the color palette, I wanted to keep it in line with typical water starter colors. There's not much exciting about Totter's design, but I just really love it for that simplicity. Totter's pattern is based on leotards, an article of clothing worn by gymnasts. I originally didn't have the eyebrows, but the face felt like it needed something to bring it all together, and though I think they look kind of silly, I think it gives Totter a goofy kind of charm. I have grown really attached to this little guy after spending so much time with it. Totter was actually the first of the starters to be conceptualized, so I'm pretty sure that's partly why I love it so much. For the shiny, I went with pink. Pink is basically the opposite of blue, and, well, I think it ties in perfectly with its secondary typing that it gets in the next evolution. Alright, enough rambling. Let's move on to the next evolution. This is Divinot. The name Divinot is a combination of divination and otter. Divinot have tapped into their latent psychic abilities and can now see briefly into the future as well as swim through the air with telekinesis. If Tiger is the angsty teenager, Divinot is the lazy one, often choosing to float around in the air with their pearl rather than do anything productive. Because of its ability to see into the future, Divinot choose to live in the moment. Divinot is partially inspired by a combination of fortune tellers and gypsies. The pattern has become one that resembles a fortune teller's outfit, and the pearl is now pink with psychic power. Since fortune tellers use crystal balls to see into the future, Divinot does the same with its pearl. The color palette is a deeper blue with golden accents like the jewelry worn by gypsies and fortune tellers alike. On TV, fortune tellers are often just a plot device used to scare or reassure the protagonist, so Divinot do essentially the same, using its powers to help guide its trainer to success. Though it doesn't mind using its future sight to help its trainer, Divinot believe it's more fun for them to figure some things out on their own and will often withhold bits of information. The shiny is just a darker pink as well, since I just really like the way it looked with Totter. I'm super excited for the final Evo, so here it is. This is Mystiseer, the genie Pokemon. The name Mystiseer is a combination of mystic, mist, and seer, like somebody who sees the future. For the TV personality of Mystiseer, I thought of one of the most, if not most iconic genie I know. I Dream of Genie is a classic, and I'll be honest, when I was a kid, I loved it. Even though it was old and outdated, I thought I Dream of Genie was funny, clever, and full of personality. Genie the Genie, clever I know, was such an amazing character, showing that even though she was bound to fulfill wishes, she could still have an opinion and autonomy of her own. So when I decided to design Mystiseer, I wanted to make sure that as soon as you saw it, the first thing that came to mind was Genie. I modeled the pattern after Genie's iconic outfit she wore in most every episode, giving Mystiseer's leg fluff the appearance of puffy pants, and the top resembles the rest of her ensemble. The hair that was on the top of the last 2 evolutions now looks like a bun to match her iconic hairstyle, and the pose is also the iconic wish-granting pose. I really took a lot from Genie on this one. The pearl now floats in front of Mystiseer, so it can always be glimpsing into the future. On TV and in movies, genies are often seen as having to obey every command while often finding mischievous loopholes to mess with their controller. Mystiseer can grant certain wishes using its psychic power, but will often find a way to make it benefit them. For the shiny, I had to keep the pink going, and I swapped the blue and white parts. When I was designing Mystiseer, I liked it both ways, but decided I would use one for the shiny and the other for the regular. The white body felt more dramatic, so I made that the shiny. The genies we often see portrayed in TVs and movies are nothing like the genies of legend, though I will admit that the Aladdin genie at least got the blue color right, which is why Mystiseer is blue. Well, that's the final starter for the Usana region, and I hope you love it just as much as I do. I wanted to take a moment here at the end of the video and talk a little bit about the Usana region and give you an idea of what to expect as we go on this adventure together. The name Usana is a combination of USA and the initials for North America. One of the gimmicks for my region is urban and rural evolution. Usana is a vast region with lots of wildlife and wilderness, but it's going through a rapid urbanization. Some species of Pokemon have split their adaptations to increase their odds in the changing world around them. Those that evolve on rural routes will have more natural adaptations, and those that evolve in urban environments will have ones influenced by humans. Each will be typed to give them benefits in their respective environments. In the center of Usana is a large stone spire that scientists have been excavating for years, but now rumblings have been coming from deep beneath the spire, causing cracks to form. There's a great mystery hidden within the spire that's about to be discovered. And that's all I'll say for now. I don't want to give away too much. If you stayed till the end of the video, thank you so much. I put a lot of time and effort into this one especially, and it means a lot to me that you watched it. So leave a comment below and let me know which starter you'd choose, or what you thought about the video. If you aren't already subscribed, why not go ahead and subscribe? And if you want to keep up to date with the Usana region, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked the video so I know you did. It really does help the channel and I appreciate it. Until next time.